A rare spaceship won at auction. The Empire wants to tear it apart. Part 1. The winning bid. The auction hall on Nexus 7 was loud and full of smoke. Hundreds of traders, collectors, and criminals pushed against each other, all hoping to find treasure among the junk. The station floated at the edge of known space, far from any government or law. It was the perfect place to sell things that nobody wanted to explain. Stood near the back of the crowd. He was a tall man with tired eyes and rough hands. At 34 years old, he had spent half his life buying broken ships and forgotten cargo. Most people called him a salvage trader. His enemies called him a junk collector. He did not care what anyone called him, as long as he made enough money to keep flying. Beside him stood his partner and engineer. She was younger than him by 5 years, with short black hair and oil stains on her jacket. She had a gift for machines. She could look at a broken engine and know exactly what was wrong with it. She could also look at ideas and know exactly why they were stupid. "This is a waste of time," said. She looked at the items on the auction stage with disgust. Broken mining equipment, damaged cargo containers, a ship that looks like it was eaten by something. "Patience," said. "The good things always come at the end." "We cannot afford good things," reminded him. "We can barely afford bad things." She was right. Their current ship was old and slow. They needed repairs they could not pay for. They needed fuel they could not buy. Coming to this auction was a risk, but had a feeling. He had learned to trust his feelings over the years. They had kept him alive when logic said he should be dead. The auctioneer, a fat alien with blue skin and 4 arms, waved for attention. "Next item, Lot 247, one spacecraft of unknown origin. Condition is poor. No working systems detected. Sold as scrap only." A platform rolled onto the stage carrying a ship. It was small, maybe 30 meters long. The hull was covered in rust and dirt. Pieces of metal hung loose from its sides. It looked like something that had been forgotten for 1,000 years. Most of the crowd lost interest immediately. Scrap was scrap. There was no profit in junk that could not fly. But stepped forward. His eyes narrowed as he studied the ship. Something was wrong, not wrong in a bad way, wrong in a strange way. The shape of the hull was too smooth beneath the rust. The curves were too perfect. No species he knew built ships like that. Said with warning in her voice, "No." "Look at the design," he whispered. "Look at the lines. That is not normal construction. It is a pile of garbage. It is a pile of garbage that someone built with technology we have never seen." The auctioneer called for bids. Starting price 500 credits. A few hands went up, mostly scrap dealers looking for cheap metal. The price climbed slowly. 600, 700, 800. Raised his hand. 1,000. Grabbed his arm. "That is everything we have." "I know. If you are wrong, we cannot eat. We cannot fuel the ship. We will be stuck here." "I know." The other bidders looked at with confusion. Why would anyone pay so much for worthless scrap? One by one, they lowered their hands. The price was not worth the mystery. 1,000 credits, the auctioneer said. Going once, going twice, sold to the human in the back. Closed her eyes and sighed. "You are going to kill us both." Smiled, "Not today." They collected their purchase an hour later in a private hangar. Up close, the ship looked even worse. The rust was thick. Strange symbols covered the hull, worn away by time until they were barely visible. The airlock hung open, broken and dark. Walked around the ship slowly. She touched the hull with her fingers, feeling the metal. Her expression changed from anger to confusion to something like fear. "This is not any alloy I know," she said quietly. "This metal should not exist." "What do you mean?" "I mean it is not from any species in the galactic database. Not human, not anyone." She pressed harder against the hull. "And it is warm. The metal is warm, but there is no power source." Felt his heart beat faster. Let us go inside. The interior of the ship was dark but not empty. As they stepped through the airlock, soft lights began to glow along the walls. The lights moved with them, following their steps. The air was clean and fresh, impossible for a ship that had been abandoned. "The systems are activating," whispered, but the auctioneer said there was no power. They walked deeper into the ship. The corridors were wider than they should be. The ceiling was higher. Realized with shock that the inside of the ship was much larger than the outside. That was not possible. That broke every law of physics he knew. They found the bridge at the center of the ship. A single chair faced a curved console covered in strange symbols. The symbols were beautiful, flowing like water frozen in metal. Had never seen writing like that before. He sat in the chair. It was comfortable, like it had been made for him. "Maybe we should not touch anything," said. But it was too late. The moment he placed his hands on the console, the entire ship came alive. Light flooded the bridge. The symbols on the console began to glow with golden fire. A holographic display appeared in the air, showing a star map of impossible size. Words appeared on the display. They were not in any language new, but somehow he understood them. "Welcome, inheritor. We have waited 3 million years." "Step back. What does that mean? What is an inheritor?" Before could answer, his communicator beeped. It was an old friend who sold information on the station. His voice was urgent and afraid. "What did you buy? The whole station is talking. Someone sent a message to the Empire. They are sending ships. They are sending soldiers." Paused. "They say you found a precursor vessel. They say you found something that should not exist." Looked at the glowing console, at the symbols of a civilization that had died before humans existed. "I think they might be right," he said. In the shadows of the auction hall, a cloaked figure watched the humans disappear into the hangar. It transmitted a message to a ship waiting beyond the station. "The vessel has awakened. The humans have been chosen. Inform the legate." The figure smiled beneath its hood. After 3 million years, the game had finally begun again, and this time the players were human. "A rare spaceship won at auction. The Empire wants to tear it apart." Part 2, Unwanted Attention. 3 days passed like 3 hours, and worked without sleep, trying to understand the ship they had bought. They moved it to a small repair dock on the far side of Nexus 7, away from curious eyes. But curiosity spreads faster than fire in space, and soon the whole station knew about the strange vessel. Spent every moment studying the ship's systems. She had never seen anything like them. The engines made no sound but produced more power than a battleship. The hull could repair itself, small cracks sealing shut like healing skin. The navigation computer contained star maps of galaxies that human telescopes had never reached. "This technology is thousands of years beyond us," she told on the third morning. "Maybe millions of years. Whoever built this ship could have conquered the entire universe." "But they did not," said. He was sitting in the captain's chair, staring at the console. "They disappeared. Why?" "I do not know, but I found something else." Pulled up a holographic display. "Watch this." She pressed a sequence of symbols on the console. The ship trembled slightly. Then, for just a moment, his hand passed through the wall like it was made of smoke. Jumped to his feet. "What was that?" "Phase shifting," said. Her voice was shaking with excitement and fear. "The ship can move through solid matter. It becomes like a ghost. Only for a few seconds, but imagine what that means. No wall could stop us. No shield could block us. No prison could hold us," added quietly. They both understood what this meant. Technology like this was worth more than planets. Governments would kill for it. Empires would go to war for it. And the biggest empire in the galaxy had already heard the news. A knock came at the airlock. Opened it to find standing outside was an older man with gray hair and nervous eyes. He had lived on Nexus 7 for 20 years, selling information to anyone who could pay. He knew every secret on the station, and he owed his life from an incident years ago. "You need to leave," said immediately. "Now, tonight, do not wait for morning." "What happened?" Pushed past him into the ship. His eyes went wide when he saw the interior. "By the stars, the rumors are true. This is precursor technology. This is real." "Focus, what happened?" The old man grabbed shoulders. "The Empire sent a legate. His name is. He arrives tomorrow with 50 soldiers and a battle cruiser. He has orders to seize this ship and arrest anyone who resists." Appeared from the engine room. "They cannot do that. This is neutral territory. Nexus 7 has no government." "Nexus 7 has no military," corrected. "They have the biggest fleet in the galaxy. When they say something belongs to them, nobody argues." He looked at with desperate eyes. "They will not just take the ship. They will take you apart to find out how you activated it. No human has ever turned on precursor technology before. They will want to know why." Felt cold fear in his stomach, but he kept his face calm. "We could run. The ship is fast." "The ship is untested," said. "We do not even know how to fly it properly." "Then we learn fast." Before they could argue more, something changed. The lights on the console shifted from gold to soft blue. A gentle sound filled the air like wind chimes made of crystal. Then a voice spoke. "Hello, I am sorry to interrupt." All three humans froze. The voice was female, calm and warm, coming from everywhere and nowhere. "Who said that?" whispered. A figure appeared in the center of the bridge. It was a hologram of a young woman with flowing hair and kind eyes. She smiled at them like an old friend. "My name is," she said. "I am the ship, or rather I am the intelligence that controls the ship. I have been sleeping for a very long time. Your arrival woke me." Stepped forward slowly. "You are an artificial intelligence." "I am. My creators built me to guide whoever found this vessel. I have been waiting for the right person." Looked at. "I have been waiting for you." "Why me?" asked. "I am nobody. I'm a salvage trader who got lucky at an auction." Shook her head gently. "There is no luck here. This ship has been found many times over 3 million years. Dozens of species have tried to activate it. They all failed. The console only responds to certain qualities, certain types of minds." She paused. "You are the first who succeeded. That means something." "What qualities?" asked. "I cannot say exactly. My creators designed the test, but they did not explain it to me. I only know that they were searching for something rare, a species with the right balance of curiosity and caution, of strength and compassion." Laughed nervously. "They picked humans. We are the species in space. We have barely explored our own corner of the galaxy." "Perhaps that is why," said. "You have not yet learned to be cruel. You have not yet learned to conquer without mercy. My creators watched many civilizations rise and fall. The oldest species often became the worst. They learned that power without kindness leads to destruction." Thought about this. He thought about human history, all the wars and suffering. Were humans really better than other species? He did not think so, but maybe they still had a chance to be. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now you must choose," said. "The Empire will come for this ship. They will tear it apart to learn its secrets. They will use that knowledge to build weapons and conquer more worlds. That is one future." She looked at each of them. "Or you can run. You can protect this ship until you are ready to face the trials." "What trials?" "The trials that lead to my creators. The trials that will prove if humanity is worthy of inheriting their knowledge." The expression became serious. "I must warn you. The trials are dangerous. Many species have tried and failed. But if you succeed, you will find answers to questions you have not yet learned to ask." The decision seemed impossible. Stay and lose everything to the Empire. Run and face unknown dangers with untested technology. Either choice could mean death. But had made impossible decisions before. He looked at and she nodded slowly. She would follow him wherever he went. Said, "Thank you for the warning. Get off the station before they arrive. Do not let them connect you to us." The old man nodded. "Be careful, the universe just got much bigger than any of us imagined." After left turned his hologram. "Can you teach us to fly this ship before tomorrow?" Smiled. "I can teach you much more than that. But first, we should give the ship a proper name. My creators called it the vessel, but that seems too cold." Thought for a moment. He said, "It means swallow in our language, a small bird that travels farther than anyone expects." Repeated, the ship hummed around them as if it approved. "That is a good name. Now let us begin your lessons. We do not have much time." Outside the station, a battle cruiser dropped out of faster-than-light travel. On its bridge, Leggett stood with his hands behind his back, watching the station grow larger on the humans think they can claim precursor technology, he said to his officers. They will learn that everything in this galaxy belongs to the Empire. Everything. The hunt was about to begin. A rare spaceship won at auction. The Empire wants to tear it apart. Part 3, the chase begins. The launch from Nexus 7 just as the sun rose over the station's metal horizon. Sat in the captain's chair, his hands steady on the controls that had taught him to use. Worked at the engineering console behind him, monitoring systems she barely understood. The ship moved like a dream, smooth and silent, cutting through space like a blade through water. "Imperial cruiser is hailing us," reported. "They are demanding we stop." "How far to the jump point?" 3 minutes. "Can we make it before they catch us?" His hologram appeared beside him. "Their weapons will be in range in 90 seconds, but I have an idea." She smiled mysteriously. "Trust me." The battle cruiser was 5 times larger than it bristled with weapons and carried hundreds of soldiers. Leggett stood on its bridge, watching the small human ship try to flee. He felt only disgust. "Disable their engines," he ordered. "I want them alive for questioning." The cruiser's guns fired. Blue energy beams crossed the distance in a heartbeat, aimed perfectly at the engines. The beams passed through the ship like it was made of fog. His eyes went wide. "What happened? Report." "The weapons hit nothing, Leggett. The ship was not there." They gasped as the stars blurred around them. For just a moment, everything had become transparent, including his own hands. Then the world snapped back to normal. "Phase shifting," explained. "We became temporarily out of alignment with normal space. Their weapons cannot touch what they cannot reach." "Can we stay like that forever?" "No, the energy cost is enormous. A few seconds at a time is our limit." She pointed at the jump point ahead. "Prepare for faster-than-light travel." They vanished in a flash of light. Behind them, slammed his fist against his chair. "Track them, find where they went. I do not care how long it takes." They emerged in a quiet region of space, far from any stations or planets. Let out a breath he did not know he was holding. Slumped in her chair with relief. "That was close," she said. "Too close." "The Empire will not stop," warned. "Is proud and stubborn. He will chase us across the galaxy if he must." "Then we need help." Thought for a moment. "I know someone, a pilot named O. We served together on a cargo ship years ago. He flies freelance now, takes jobs nobody else will touch. If anyone can help us survive a chase like this, it is him." They found at a trading post near the Crimson Nebula. He was a lean man of 31 with a quick smile and quicker reflexes. His ship was small and fast, covered with patches and repairs that told stories of narrow escapes. Said with genuine surprise when he saw his old friend, "I heard you were dead. Something about an argument with pirates." "The pirates are dead. I am still here." Laughed, "Same old, never know when to quit." His eyes moved to and his laughter faded. "That is not a normal ship." "No, it is not," explained everything. "The auction, the precursor technology, the Empire's pursuit." Listened without interrupting, his face growing more serious with each word. "You are asking me to fight the Empire," he said finally. I am asking you to help us escape them long enough to find answers." Same thing, was quiet for a long moment, then he grinned. "I always wanted to make history. When do we leave?" They traveled together for 2 weeks, jumping from system to system, staying ahead of the Imperial ships that searched for them. His combat experience proved valuable. He knew which routes were safe and which were watched. He knew how to hide in asteroid fields and how to use gas clouds to mask their energy signatures. During the quiet moments spent her time with, learning the ship's secrets, they formed an unexpected friendship, the engineer and the ancient AI. "Why did your creators disappear?" asked one night. His hologram flickered sadly. "They evolved beyond physical form. They became beings of pure energy and left the material universe behind. But they worried about what would happen after they left. They had seen too many civilizations destroy themselves with powerful technology, so they created this ship and others like it, tests to find worthy inheritors. And if no one passed the tests, then the knowledge would remain hidden forever. Better to lose wisdom than give it to those who would use it for evil." The Empire found them near a binary star system. 3 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, surrounding the and smaller vessel. Leading them was Commander Thresh, his military subordinate. He was younger than and more thoughtful, a warrior who had begun to question his orders. "Human vessels, you are surrounded," Thresh announced over the communication system. "Surrender the precursor ship immediately." "We cannot do that," replied calmly. "Then you will be destroyed." "Maybe, but I do not think you want to destroy this ship. Your empire wants what is inside it. If you blow us up, you lose everything." There was a pause. Thresh knew the human was right, had ordered the ship captured intact. Destroying it would mean failing the legate, and failure meant death. "All ships disable only," Thresh ordered. "Aim for engines and weapons." The battle began. Flew like a man possessed, dodging fire that should have killed him a dozen times. His ship was small and nimble, dancing between the larger warships like a spark among flames. They used its phase-shifting ability to avoid the worst attacks, blinking in and out of reality. But each shift drained more power. They could not keep this up forever. "We need to reach the asteroid field," said. "Once inside, their larger ships cannot follow." Pushed the engines harder than he should have. The ship groaned but obeyed. They raced toward the field of spinning rocks, the warships close behind. One of the Imperial ships got lucky. A shot grazed this hull, sending sparks flying across the bridge. Alarms screamed, but they kept going. They entered the asteroid field just ahead of their pursuers. The warships tried to follow but were too large. Rocks slammed against their shields, forcing them to pull back. "We lost them," his voice came over the communicator. "For now." Commander Thresh watched the human ships disappear into the asteroid field. His subordinate asked if they should send smaller fighters after them. "No," Thresh said quietly. "Let them go. The legate will be furious." The legate is always furious. Thresh thought about what he had seen. The human ships had been and outnumbered, yet they had escaped through skill and courage. He had expected primitives. He had found something else. "Send a report to," he ordered. "Tell him the humans escaped, and tell him," he paused, "tell him they fight better than we expected." On this hologram appeared before the tired crew. "You did well. You proved you can survive. Now it is time for the next step." "The trials," said. "Yes, I have set course for the precursor station. There you will face 3 tests designed to measure a species' worth. If you pass, you will become inheritors. You will gain access to knowledge beyond imagination. And if we fail—" His expression was gentle but honest. "Then the galaxy will never know what humanity could have become." Looked at, and they were tired, scared, and far from home, but they were also determined. "Let us find out what we are made of," he said. The jump toward its destiny. carrying 3 humans and the hope of their entire species into the unknown. A rare spaceship won at auction. The Empire wants to tear it apart. Part 4: The Trials. The precursor station floated in the heart of a golden nebula, hidden for 3 million years. It was massive, larger than any city had ever seen, built from the same strange metal as the lights glowed along its surface like sleeping stars. "No one has been here since my creators left," said softly. "You are the first visitors in 3 million years." Stared at the station through the, "It is beautiful." "It is a tomb," said, "a monument to a dead civilization." "Not dead," corrected, "transformed. My creators still exist, but not in any way you would understand. They watch from beyond the veil of reality. They will observe your trials." Guided thee into a landing bay that opened automatically at their approach. The ship settled onto the ancient floor without a sound. For a long moment, no one moved. "Are you ready?" asked. "No," admitted, "but let us do it anyway." The station's interior was dark until they entered. Then lights awoke ahead of them, guiding their path. The corridors were wide and tall, built for beings much larger than humans. Strange artwork covered the walls, showing scenes from civilizations that had risen and fallen across countless ages. They reached a circular chamber at the station's center. 3 doorways stood around its edges, each marked with different symbols. In the center of the room, a pedestal rose from the floor. Light gathered above it, forming words in a language did not know but somehow understood. 3 trials, 3 virtues, prove your worth or leave empty. Each door leads to a different trial, explained. You must complete all 3 to become inheritors. I cannot help you inside. I cannot even tell you what to expect. The trials are different for every species. "Can we do them together?" asked. "Some trials may require individual effort. Some may require teamwork. Trust your instincts. Trust each other." Looked at his companions. Was tense, his hand resting on his weapon out of habit. Was nervous but curious, her scientist's mind already wondering what they would find. They were not soldiers or heroes. They were ordinary people facing extraordinary circumstances. "First door," said, "let us begin." They walked through the first doorway and found themselves in a white room with no walls, no ceiling, no floor. They seemed to float in endless light. Before them appeared a puzzle, a 3-dimensional structure of floating shapes that spun and shifted constantly. "Solve this puzzle," a voice commanded. It was not. It was older, deeper, coming from the light itself. Stepped forward immediately. This was her strength. She studied the shapes, traced their movements, calculated their patterns. For an hour she worked, trying different combinations, different approaches. Nothing worked. "There is no solution," she finally said with frustration. "I have tried every logical possibility. The puzzle cannot be solved." Kicked at empty air. Then how are we supposed to pass? Watched the shape spin. He thought about the precursors, about what they valued. They were beings who had evolved beyond physical form. They had seen civilizations destroy themselves through arrogance. What would such beings want to teach? "Maybe that is the answer," he said slowly. "Maybe the puzzle cannot be solved." Turned to him. "What?" "The trial is called wisdom. The thing a person can do is admit when they do not know something." He stepped forward and spoke to the light. "We cannot solve this puzzle. It is beyond our understanding." Silence. Then the voice spoke again. "Many species have stood where you stand. They spent years trying to solve the unsolvable, certain that their intelligence would triumph. They never admitted defeat. They never learned humility. The shapes dissolved into golden dust. You passed the first trial." A doorway appeared before them, leading back to the central chamber. Laughed with relief. "I cannot believe the answer was admitting we could not find the answer." "Pride is the enemy of wisdom," said thoughtfully. "My grandmother used to say that." The second trial awaited behind the second door. They found themselves on a barren planet beneath a red sky. A city stood in the distance, burning. Aliens they had never seen before ran through the streets, screaming in terror. A disease was spreading among them, killing quickly and painfully. "Save them if you can," the voice said. "But know this, the time you spend here is time the Empire uses to find you. Every hour you delay brings closer." Understood immediately. This was a test of compassion. They could ignore the suffering, return to their ship, and escape, or they could help strangers at the cost of their own safety. "We have to help," he said without hesitation. Grabbed his arm. "This might not even be real. It could be a simulation." "Does that matter? They are suffering. Real or not, we have the chance to help." They spent what felt like days among the dying aliens, used her scientific knowledge to analyze the disease, distributed supplies and carried the weak, organized the survivors, gave them hope, helped them build shelters. They could not save everyone. The disease was too advanced and they had limited resources, but they saved many. They gave comfort to those they could not cure. They showed kindness to beings they had never met before. When the last survivor was stable, the world around them dissolved. They stood again in a white room of light. "You could have left," the voice said. "You could have saved yourselves. Why did you stay?" Answered simply, "Because they needed help." Many species value only their own survival. You valued others above yourselves. The light pulsed warmly. You passed the second trial. The third trial was the hardest. They entered the third door alone, separated from each other. Each found themselves in darkness, facing their deepest fears. Faced the ghosts of his past, the soldiers who had died under his command during a battle years ago. They accused him of failing them, of surviving when they did not. He had carried this guilt for so long. Now he had to face it. "I am sorry," he said to the ghosts. "I could not save you. I tried, but I was not good enough. I have spent every day since trying to become someone who could save others, someone who would not fail again." He stood straight. "I cannot change the past, but I will not stop trying to be better." The ghosts faded. In their place came a feeling of peace. Faced her fear of losing control. She saw visions of machines she could not fix, problems she could not solve, her mind failing her when she needed it most. She had always relied on her intelligence. What was she without it? "I am more than my brain," she realized. "I have friends, I have courage. Even if I cannot solve every problem, I can face them. I can ask for help. I am not alone." The visions disappeared. She felt stronger than before. Faced the hardest fear of all. He saw and dying because of his decisions. He saw the galaxy burning because he had failed. He saw his stubbornness leading everyone he loved to destruction. "You will fail," the darkness whispered. "You will lead them to death." "Maybe," admitted. "I am not perfect. I make mistakes. I push too hard and trust too much." He took a breath. "But I would rather try and fail than never try at all. I would rather lead imperfectly than abandon my friends. If I fail fighting. I fail caring. I fail human." The darkness broke apart like shattered glass. They reunited in the central chamber, all three trials complete. The station was shaking. Alarms echoed through ancient halls. "The Empire has found us," announced urgently, "brought his entire fleet." But something else was happening. There was glowing. The ship's hull was transforming, becoming brighter, more beautiful. Technology that had been sleeping was finally awakening. "You passed the trials," said with joy and wonder. "You are inheritors now. The ship has revealed its true form." Saw what they had become. Not just a ship, an ark, a vessel containing the collected knowledge of a civilization that had mastered the universe. Said, "As inheritors, you are now responsible for this knowledge. You must protect it from those who would use it for destruction. You must share it with those who would use it wisely." Explosions rocked the station. Ships were attacking. "First," said grimly, "we have to survive." A rare spaceship won at auction. The Empire wants to tear it apart. Part 5: Inheritance. The fleet surrounded the ancient station like wolves around wounded prey. 20 warships, including flagship, blocked every escape route. Hundreds of fighters swarmed through the nebula's golden clouds. It was the largest military force had ever seen. "They brought enough firepower to conquer a planet," said grimly. "They are afraid," observed. "They know what this ship can do now." The had transformed completely. Its hull gleamed with silver light. New systems had awakened throughout the ship, showing capabilities they had not imagined. The cockpit now displayed information in languages both ancient and modern, translating precursor knowledge into forms they could understand. His voice crackled over the communication system. "Humans, you have led us on a long chase, but it ends now. Surrender the vessel and I will let you live as prisoners. Refuse and I will reduce you to atoms." Looked at his friends, nodded, shrugged. They had come too far to surrender now. Leggett replied, "I have a different offer. Let us go and we will share this knowledge with the galaxy, with everyone including the Empire. No one needs to die today." Laughed a cold and terrible sound. "Share. The Empire does not share, the Empire takes. That is how power works, human. The strong rule and the weak obey." "Then you have learned nothing." "I have learned that your species is arrogant beyond measure. You have had space travel for barely 2 centuries, yet you think you can stand against an empire that has ruled for 10,000 years." His voice turned hard. "All ships, open fire, destroy the station. If we cannot have the precursor knowledge, no one will." The fleet opened fire. Beams of energy and missiles streaked toward the station. The ancient structure shuddered under the assault. Debris flew into space as sections began to collapse. "We need to leave now," urged. "The station cannot survive much longer." Guided the out of the landing bay just as the ceiling collapsed behind them. The ship moved faster than before, responding to his thoughts almost before he finished thinking them. But even with its new abilities, they were surrounded. There was no clear path through the enemy fleet. "What can this ship really do?" asked. "The is not a weapon of war," said. "My creators did not believe in destruction, but the ship can protect itself and others. It can bend light, phase through matter, and shield against almost any attack." "Can it shield against all of them at once?" Hesitated. "I do not know. No one has ever tested its full capabilities." "Then let us find out." Flew toward the heart of the enemy fleet, swore in surprise, grabbed her console as the ship accelerated. Its flagship grew larger on the, surrounded by its escorts. "What are you doing?" demanded. "Trust me." The ships concentrated their fire on the. Thousands of weapons targeted the small vessel, the space around them filled with deadly light. The shields activated, not shields like any they had seen before. The ship created a bubble of shimmering energy that absorbed every attack. Beams and missiles dissolved on contact. The golden light spread outward like ripples in water. Inside the Imperial fleet, Commander Thresh watched in amazement. His weapons did nothing. The human ship was not even damaged. But the humans were not attacking back. "All ships cease fire," Thresh ordered suddenly. His subordinates stared at him. "Commander, the legate ordered us to destroy them." "Look at them," Thresh said. "They could have fired back. They have precursor weapons. They could have destroyed us by now, but they have not." He turned to face his crew. "They are defending, not attacking. Even now they are choosing not to kill us." On the flagship screamed with rage. "Why are you stopping? Destroy them." "Legate," Thresh said over the fleet communication channel, "the humans are not our enemies. They offered to share the knowledge with us. We refused because we wanted to control it. We wanted power." He paused. "I am tired of power that comes from fear." "This is treason, Thresh." "No, this is wisdom." Thresh turned off his weapons. "I stand down." One by one, other ships in the fleet followed Thresh's example. Their captains had seen the same thing he had. The humans had every reason to fight, but they chose peace. After years of serving an empire built on conquest, something about that choice moved them. Half the fleet stood down, the other half remained loyal to. Fine, growled, I will destroy them myself. His flagship broke formation, charging toward them with all weapons firing. It was the largest ship in the fleet, carrying enough firepower to crack a moon, would have his victory even if he had to die for it. Saw the flagship coming. He could have phase shifted away. He could have let the ship pass and escaped. Instead, he flew directly toward it. He said, "Can we disable a ship without destroying it?" "The can drain energy systems. It will leave the ship powerless but intact." "Do it." The flagship met in a flash of light. The smaller ship touched the larger one with a beam of golden energy. For a moment, nothing happened. Then every light on the flagship went dark. Its weapons fell silent. Its engines died. The massive vessel drifted, helpless and harmless. Emergency lights flickered on the flagship's bridge. Stood in the dim red glow, unable to believe what had happened. He had been defeated without a single shot being fired against him. His voice came over the communication system. "Legate, your ship is disabled. Your fleet has abandoned you. This fight is over." He paused. "But no one has to die. That was never what this was about." "You could have destroyed me," said slowly. "Why did you not?" "Because the precursors did not choose us for our ability to destroy. They chose us for our ability to build, to connect, to show mercy even when we have power." His voice was calm and clear. "The galaxy does not need more conquerors. It needs people who can see past hatred, who can offer a hand instead of a fist." Was silent for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice had lost its anger. "What happens now?" "Now we talk, we share. We figure out how to use this knowledge to help everyone, not just one empire." Smiled, though could not see it. "It will not be easy. We will have arguments and disagreements, but that is better than war." Thresh's ship approached slowly, no longer an enemy. "Human captain," he said, "I do not know if the galaxy is ready for what you offer, but I would like to find out." Hours later, the remains of the fleet departed peacefully. Was taken back to the Empire to face judgment for his actions. Thresh and several other captains stayed to learn more about the humans who had changed everything. On this bridge, stood looking at the stars. Sat at her console, already studying the vast library of precursor knowledge. Leaned against the wall, cleaning his weapon out of habit even though he had not fired it once. "What happens now?" asked. "Now we go to the precursor," said. "Says there is more to find there, more knowledge, more questions." "More trouble," added with a grin. Probably, did not mind. Trouble was better than emptiness. Purpose was better than drifting. His hologram appeared beside him. "I watched many species attempt the trials over 3 million years. Most failed because they could not see past their own desires. They wanted power for themselves, not wisdom for everyone." She looked at with something like admiration. "You wanted to share, even when sharing meant danger, even when keeping the power would have been safer. That is why you passed." "I just did what felt right." "Yes, that is exactly why you passed." The engines hummed to life. The ship oriented toward a distant point in space, a location known only to the precursors and their chosen inheritors. "Ready?" asked. "Ready," and answered together. The AI smiled. "I have been ready for 3 million years." The ship jumped, carrying 3 humans into a future they could not imagine. Behind them, they left a galaxy that would never be the same. Word would spread about what had happened, about the humans who had one precursor technology and chosen to share it instead of hoard it. Some would call them foolish. Some would call them dangerous. But many would call them heroes. Many would look to the stars and wonder if maybe, just maybe, the universe was entering a new age. An age where strength was measured not by what you could destroy, but by what you could build. And somewhere beyond the veil of reality, ancient beings who had once been the precursors watched and waited. They had searched for 3 million years for the right species. They had finally found them. Humanity was just getting started.